It has a picture of a black person in it, therefore CRT. Doesn't meet Florida's standards of education. Alrighty. So, Ron DeSantis in Florida has been getting rid of anything LGBTQ or CRT related, everything he can do. And then convincing parents that this is a good thing because people are scared that their kids might think that racism was once a thing, or also might find out gay people exist, or some other dumb shit. But before we get into that, because there's a bit of a possible conspiracy we got to uncover, let's go ahead and get into the fan art section real quick. This one is from Hillbilly Creeper. Said this is a Harley Quinn Suris. I did not draw this, but I did tell her and edited her chest should be on par with the original Suris. I do hope you enjoy this. I like and enjoy your content. Well, thank you very much for that one. The next one we have is from Lore Does Art. Said it's not my best, but I'm proud of it still. I like it. What is that outfit? I kind of want that outfit. I want that outfit for like a D&D session or something at some point. That just looks cool. The next one we have is from Ink. Said, ain't no way I'm posting this on Twitter. Me and my friends would have to have a meeting. It is a Nekosaurus holding a channel pup body pillow. How are you going, Wallace? Oh, that is awful. Sunset City. If you have not seen Sunset City, you should. Its memes creep their way into the channel every day, and they are all well deserved. Said also wearing a jacket. Yes, specifically, that is most certainly Nick's jacket. There's a little bit of every member of Sunset City here. There's the references to Wayne, there's Pup, there's me, and it's Nick's jacket. All the pieces, they're all in motion. As always, everybody, thank you all for your fan art submissions. If you want your fan art to be shown in a future episode, the best way to do so is to drop it into the fan art section of the Discord. With that said, let's go ahead and get into the article itself here. So apparently, I've got a bunch of ads that are blocked at the moment. But the article's name is, as DeSantis administration rejects textbooks, only one publisher is allowed for K-5 math classes in Florida. Feels kind of weird. It almost feels like maybe, and this is just off of that specifically, it feels almost like maybe most of the anti-CRT shit was done specifically not to save our kids, but to line the pocketbooks of a particular organization, making them have a monopoly for certain avenues of revenue. But before we get into that, we do have a news article, so we want to do ourselves a quick favor. I checked, so the name of this is Tallahassee Democrat. That immediately made me think, oh, well, there's definitely some bias here. That might even be left-wing bias, considering that, you know, Democrat. But I went ahead and checked the, did a little bit of checking. We have a very high, or we have a high rate of factual reporting with a center-right bias. Awkward. Not quite what I thought it was going to be, but we have a very high credibility rating. So at the very least, we seem to have an okay source here. So let's go ahead and take a look at the source. That way nobody in the comment section could go, but he said Democrat. That means it blue. That means it bad. I don't vote blue. My daddy would spank me if I voted blue. I've got way too much of that dumb shit here in Georgia. I don't need more of that from you, random commenter, Earl. That's right, Earl. I fucking see you. Anyways, Accelerate Learning's website includes a diversity statement. Our nation's black communities have long faced the repeated harmful effects of systemic racism within the justice system, blah, 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 blah. Okay, the actual article. Historically, when Florida... Why is that advertisement there? Go the fuck away. Nobody likes you. Nobody wants you. Historically, when Florida schools reevaluate which math instructional material they will use, they have had more than one publisher to choose from. Now, the only publisher approved by Ron DeSantis and the Florida Department of Education for K-5 mathematics is Accelerate Learning, a company based in Houston, Texas. In the subject area as large as mathematics for grades K through 5, it is unusual for there to be only one publisher to choose from, says Billy Epting, Assistant Superintendent for Academic Services. The Florida Department of Education rejected more than 50 mathematical textbooks, about 40% of those submitted for failing to meet Florida's new learning standards or because they contained prohibited topics that included references to critical race theory. I'm going to go ahead and call bullshit. I can't think of many math books in K5 through fucking 5th grade that would have CRT in them. Unless it's like the vaguest of vaguest references that is functionally harmless. But okay. For regular math classes, Accelerated Learning's STEM Scopes Florida math books are the only option for school districts. There are two more publisher options for Accelerated Math, McCraw Hill LLC and Savas Learning LLC, formerly known as Person K-12 Learning. Department of Education said that more than half the textbooks being disallowed incorporated prohibited topics or unsolicited strategies, including critical race theory, while others were not allowed because publishers rebranded Common Core standards. According to Accelerate Learning's website, the math book for Florida was built from the ground up to the Florida BEST by practicing educators using the flexible 5E lesson model. The K-5 math books were also created in partnership with Rice University. DeSantis has taken a lead role nationally in Republican efforts to aggressively push back against liberal cultural values and what he calls woke indoctrination. A measure labeled individual freedom, also known as the Stop Woke Act, was passed during this year's legislative session and still awaits the governor's signature. The legislation, HB 7, prohibits any teaching that could make students feel they bear responsibility for historic wrongs because of their race, color, sex, or national origin. So here's the thing. If a student thinks that they bear responsibility for something, most of that, I'm just going to go ahead and say it, most of that is not actually argued in any textbook that I saw growing up. Most of that is something that a person internalizes on their own or is otherwise told by a teacher specifically, not actually something they learned in a textbook or even from a book they pulled from the library maybe, but certainly not in the textbook itself. If a person goes, wait, hold on. The world has been, at least over here in the United States, has been less than forgiving to its black population, not only because of their minority status, and that's just statistically what happens with minorities in most countries, but also because of a specific storied history of racism. What am I going to do about that? If an individual student takes that idea and internalizes it, in many cases, that's on them. That's not actually argued by a textbook. But okay, sure. Let's just go ahead and consequently make it so that we could maybe line our pockets specifically for the benefit of a single publishing organization. In workplaces, employment practices, or training programs that cause an individual to feel guilty for similar reasons could be considered an unlawful employment practice and subject a company to a lawsuit as a civil rights violation. Accelerate Learning's website includes an undated diversity statement, which says the company commits to hold more diversity training, examine current business and recruitment practices, and continue to be inclusive in all levels of the country. Our nation's black communities have faced the repeated harmful effects of systemic racism within the justice and education system, the statement says. The company also matched all employee donations to the NAACP, Black Lives Matter, and Equal Justice organizations. Accelerate Learning is committed to supporting diversity in all its manifestations, which requires a consequent commitment to equity and inclusivity. Hold up. How is this the only one? That kind of, we're not at the end of the article, but that does kind of beg the question. How is this the only one now that Florida gets to use for this segment of learning? When it supposedly, at least based on the information on the website, goes against everything Ron DeSantis stands for. It feels kind of weird. We've got more to look at, though. We do. All right, let us continue here. The Carlyle Group, a local global investment firm, acquired Accelerate Learning in 2018. During that time, Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin was the CEO or co-CEO of the firm. After 25 years with the company, he resigned in 2020 to run for office in Virginia. The first thing he did as governor of Virginia was sign an executive order to end the use of inherently divisive concepts, including critical race theory, and restoring excellent in K-12 public education and Commonwealth, a measure that's comparable to DeSantis's Stop Woke Act. Youngkins is a 1990 graduate of Rice University and majored in mechanical engineering. Blah, 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 blah. So there's not a whole lot here. There's not a whole lot of conclusions, so we've got to kind of figure that stuff out for ourselves here. There's not anything you can really solidly fall on, but you do have to ask yourself a question. What specific things in 50 different math textbooks for elementary school supposedly had CRT in them, were tainted by the poison of CRT? My guess is that a random-ass picture of a black family was shown. I would want to actually sit down and look at those books. Not read through all of them, because I'm not going to read 50 math books. I hated math class. I'm a leftist. I can't do math. But I would want to see the exact points and why those particular things were thrown out, when at least based on the information from Accelerate Learning's website, they should equally be disqualified. Because replace the Constitution with our very specific interpretation of the KJV. There, I fixed it. I don't get it. He needs targets to boost. He needs targets to boost his votes. I mean, I believe that is certainly a thing that he's doing. There's a lot of conservatives in Florida, a lot of them, and most of them are going to see something like that as a positive thing. And if you try to argue against it, they're going to go, well, why do you want CRT in school? Instead of asking the more important question, what the fuck is CRT to you, and how was it in those books? And why is it that only a single publishing company is getting that monopoly there? How are there no other options besides the one? What random CRT-based thing did you find? Because I have no idea what it would be. I don't. And if any of you in the comment section might know, that would be very, very helpful. I do have a tweet to go over as well. Governor Ron DeSantis claims math textbooks indoctrinate students with dangerous and divisive ideologies like critical race theory, but then refused to provide any examples from the rejected books. Governor Ron DeSantis said that the math books contain race essentialism. The Florida Commissioner of Education said they have dangerous and divisive concepts. DeSantis' communications director called them CRT math textbooks. Inside the, quote, dangerous math textbooks, DeSantis claims would indoctrinate students. See, we don't have to actually read the books. Someone else has already done that thing for us, apparently. On April 15th, the Florida Department of Education issued a dramatic press release. Florida rejects publishers' attempts to indoctrinate students. Okay. In a press conference, DeSantis defended the decision, focusing on right-wing activists' claim that SEL is CRT by another name, but that it's inaccurate. SEL focuses on the development of critical thinking, emotion management, conflict resolution, decision-making, and teamwork. Now, he says, math is about getting the right answer, and we want kids to learn to think so they get the right answer. It's not about how you feel about the problem or to introduce some of those other things. Most of the books did not meet Florida standards that happened to be in early grades. Asked during the press conference what CRT would look like in a math textbooks, DeSantis demurred, returning to SEL. You do have things like social and emotional learning, DeSantis responded, and some of these things that are more political in there. But DeSantis' communications director was quite clear that the rejected math books included CRT. She said people are free to buy any CRT math textbook they want. The textbooks, Pashaw claimed, teach kids that 2 + 2 = 4 is white supremacy. Pashaw emphasized that DeSantis would not force Florida taxpayers to pay for this indoctrination. Instead, we force them into only using one textbook that is only allowed for everyone, and without those choices, not brainwashing now magically. Since CRT is a graduate level academic framework which explores how laws, policies, and procedures that function produce racial inequality, we already know that. This is sometimes referred to as structural racism. It is not something you find discussed in K-12 math textbook. Notably, the Florida Department of Education, DeSantis and Pushaw, did not provide any examples of how these textbooks would indoctrinate Florida students. The only example was a math worksheet from Missouri that mentioned Maya Angelou. Really? Is this... They're not bringing their best. Hold on, let's take a look here. Angela was sexually abused by her mother's blank at age 8, which shaped her career choices and motivation for writing. Boyfriend, brother, or father. Okay. This originated from one teacher in PA, not Missouri, in 2017. It was not an official course, but one he downloaded from an online research. He thought in addition to math, it helped students learn about the life of a great poet. And it was for 11th grade students. Wow. Fact-checked immediately in the comment section. So the actual example provided wasn't even a good fucking example. Holy shit. Florida eventually released a list of the 26 math books for prohibited concepts. The remainder were rejected for other reasons, but there was no information explaining the rejection. DeSantis said that he would not release examples because he respected the process and wanted to give publishers the opportunity to appeal. Hold on. If you don't provide examples of why you have a problem, then what the fuck is going to happen in the appeal process? That literally makes it impossible to appeal. How do you fucking appeal? This is the equivalent of a parent, right? Looking at their kid and going, Timmy, you did wrong. You did real wrong. Okay, Dad. But what did I do? You need to do better, Timmy. You need to convince me you can do better. Dad, please, what did I do? I can get better, but what did I do? What did I do wrong, Dad? Timmy, you need to look within yourself and find out what you did wrong. Only then can you improve. It's not my job to tell you how you fucked up. And then Timmy's got to figure out what the fuck to do from there. Because he knows he's done something wrong, apparently, but it would be disrespectful to the process if Timmy were to be told what he did wrong, apparently. I said, yeah, that fucks kids up. Yeah, almost as if it's a really fucking bad practice. And yet DeSantis is doing it right here. But okay, sure. Everybody is little Timmy now. And they definitely did something wrong, but we won't tell them what they did wrong. That would be disrespectful to the process. This concern for fairness to the publishers didn't stop DeSantis from issuing a press release accusing all of them of indoctrinating students with race essentialism and other concepts. Enzo, I'm not going to click that link while I'm in the middle of this. DeSantis appeared determined to keep the contents of these textbooks secret. Popular Information reached out to Florida Department of Education and asked for examples of content that caused the textbooks to be rejected. There was no response. Popular Information, however, has obtained 8 of the 26 math books rejected by Florida for prohibited topics, including textbooks for elementary, middle, and high school. We then scrutinized the textbooks for any mention of race, emotion, or related topics, and what we found bears no resemblance to the alarming assertion of Florida officials. Telling kids to be nice to their classmates is not indoctrination. According to the Florida Department of Education, the highest number of books rejected were from K through 5, where an alarming 71% were not appropriately aligned with Florida standards, because they had prohibited topics. There was no discussion of race, racism, or anything that could be construed related to CRT in any of the textbooks. While the vast majority of the textbooks focused on basic math skills, they also encouraged students to reflect on how they learn and work with their classmates. In general, the textbooks encouraged young students to be nice to each other and themselves. This could be considered SEL, which focused on social and emotional competence, and helping children develop emotional literacy when it comes to their feelings and other people's. But nothing in any of the rejected textbooks could be described in good faith as dangerous or indoctrination. One rejected textbook, Florida Revealed Math Grade 1, included a series of questions under heading Math is mindset. The questions include, how can you show you value the ideas of others? And what helps you understand your partner's ideas? The book also encouraged students to learn to work together when doing math and to listen to our friends and teachers. Florida Reveal Math Grade 5, which was also rejected, used similar prompts to encourage students to think critically about how they work with others in the classroom setting. When we do math, we listen to the arguments of others and think about what makes sense and what doesn't, the book states in the introduction. Other prompts include critical thinking and highlight relationship skills, such as, what can I learn from others thinking about the problem? And what can you do to help all classmates feel comfortable in a math class? The textbooks encourages students to think about how they can recognize and respond to the emotions of others and practice building relationships with their classmates. I see why this was rejected. DeSantis doesn't want students to enjoy having people around them that fucking care. He wants emotionalist learning. That's what he wants. You know, the type of learning that makes you actually fucking hate being in school? Where you have zero investment outside of the fact that you're told you have to be at that school premises for a certain amount of hours. That's the kind of learning that Ron DeSantis wants. The kind of learning that gets boring. The kind of learning where nobody's allowed to ask any questions and all of the answers are already pre-printed. You know, the easy way. Popular Information also obtains a copy of rejected textbooks for elementary students. Vision Florida BEST Mathematics Grade 1. The textbook includes a section entitled Learn Together, which outlines the importance of sharing your ideas, valuing ideas from others, and listening with an open mind. I guess it's the difference between saying, if you don't say 2 plus 2 is 4, you're fucking wrong, versus, okay, I understand you don't think 2 plus 2 equals 4. Can you explain why you think that way? And then, you know, perhaps through that dialogue, getting somebody to realize why they couldn't do math correctly. Not, this answer is wrong, do it again. Instead, how did you get to this answer? Show us your work. Why did you get there? Maybe together we can reach an understanding of what the real answer is. That's very different. This is the kind of dangerous material Florida Department of Education DeSantis is keeping out of the hands. Acknowledging that black mathematicians exist is not critical race theory. Oh my God. It has a picture of a black person in it, therefore CRT. Doesn't meet Florida's standards of education. I'm curious about the other pieces here. We obtained 4 math textbooks for elementary school students rejected by Florida. There is zero discussion of race, racism, or anything related here. There are examples of concepts for social... Okay, that's just what we read. DeSantis appears to believe these brief sections about being nice are a serious problem. In a press conference defending the rejections, DeSantis says math was about the right answer, not how you feel about the problem. No. Everything that you do, even if there's an objectively right answer, how you feel about that process is important. Because if you don't come to any conclusions about how you feel about a scientific process, a mathematical process, a process within literature, you're going to do nothing but come up with reasons about why you hate it. There are people who love math, and they can explain to you the beauty of mathematics, why they engage in it, why they love it. And sometimes it's not always about the practical benefits of being able to square an edge. But this is the kind of shit that you get from people like Ron DeSantis. Freaking out constantly because he knows his voter base are going to freak out as well. And it's not that they're stupid. Do not get that into your head, that right-wingers are stupid. Get it into your head that they're misinformed. And there's a huge difference. At the end of the day, what matters more and what is more dangerous? Somebody who is stupid and misinformed, or somebody who is very smart but misinformed? The stupid person might not be able to affect any change in the world, but the smart person will know how to affect that change. They're just going to affect the wrong change because they've been indoctrinated to do so. There's a difference between ignorance and stupidity. One can be changed through conversation. The other should be avoided. Ron is smart, and that's the scary thing. Yeah, he knows what he's doing. He knows specifically that what he's doing is going to end up causing people to vote for him. And make no mistake, as a politician, that's what he's doing. He's signaling to his voter base. The problem is, it's not just virtue signaling. It's actually doing something. and it's doing something wrong. But now I want to know what you all think in the comment section below. As the Sonic Battle music starts playing, let me know what your thoughts are on this entire situation. There's a lot to digest here, and I am not the most informed person when it comes to the Florida education system, but the stuff that I have found leads me to ask more questions than receive any answers. So if you find anything interesting on this, let me know in the comments below. If you have an opinion on this, even if it varies from mine, I want to know that in the comment section as well. As always, everybody, if you want to support my channel and what I do, there's plenty of ways to do so. You can hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and also hop on over to my Patreon if you have not already done that. You can also head over to the Cuddly Octopus link in the description below if you want to get something that I need not talk about. But with all that said, as everyone always, fuck that, as everyone always, insert end of tagline video here.